You are, all of you, vermin.
The Covenant posed the greatest threat to humanity's survival since the dawn of time. Under the orders of the High Prophets, Covenant soldiers caused the death of over 23 billion humans, a kill count spearheaded by merciless zealots armed with lethal plasma weaponry. However, few warriors could match the lethality of one secretive Sangheili order, a division of elusive Spec Ops elites that acted as the Prophet's personal death squad, codenamed Silent Shadow. During the time of the Covenant, the Silent Shadow Spec Ops division was some of the High Prophet's most loyal warriors. They were commonly sent on assassination missions by the Prophets, sent to cleanse the galaxy of high-value human targets, notably the demons. The fact that few files exist indicate their success rates. Extraction was also their second main role, but again, no records exist detailing these missions, which suggests they were highly successful. Silent Shadow elites fulfilled these missions not just because the Prophets willed it, but also because of the pleasure and the gratification they received for quelling the galaxy of heretics, of those who stood between them and their great journey. As noted by a previous leader of a Silent Shadow team, their ends were religious, verging on godly. The exact number of squads during the war is unknown. All we know is that there were multiple, each led by a Sangheili First Blade officer. These officers differ from the rest of the squad in their leadership abilities, lethality, and visually in their armour. Where the rest of the squad have blue visors, the First Blade officer dons an intimidating red visor, in fitting with their menacing look. Silent Shadow warriors seem to wear a variant of the standard elite Spec Ops armour, slim-fitting to aid in the stealth that they require on their missions. The helmets seem entirely custom-made and use a visor that's not that dissimilar from that of the Mjolnir helmets, able to light up and glow either blue or red, likely giving them a form of heads-up display that provides tactical information, again very similar to Mjolnir. These suits also contain active camouflage modules, technology that uses an energy field to bend light around the elite, rendering them almost completely invisible, which makes assassination missions chillingly easy. Unlike regular zealots, these holy warriors carry out the will of the Prophets with a more unique weapon. Instead of the typical blue energy swords, they instead use a blade that glows crimson, similar to that of the blood they are made to shed. Seemingly identical to the regular energy sword in all but colour, this variation is likely to aid in the intimidation tactics they use. When combined with the rest of their equipment, Silent Shadow are outfitted to instill the terror of the Covenant into the eyes of those deemed important enough to meet their end by their blade. Silent Shadow were some of the Prophet's most loyal warriors, their most efficient personal Grim Reapers, and were likely responsible for the death of many who could have been instrumental in putting a stop to the Prophet's genocide. However, in 2552, their long-standing loyalty was betrayed. The Arbiter's failure to protect Alpha Halo, combined with years of the elites getting too close to the truth that the Covenant religion was built purely on lies, led to the Prophets conspiring with the Brutes to usurp the elites from all positions of power within the Covenant and then transfer these positions of power over to the Brutes. This changing of the guard sparked an event known as the Great Schism, a bloody civil war within the Covenant fought between the elites and those still loyal to the Prophets, an event which set in motion the beginning of the end for the Covenant. This period of extreme civil unrest brought the future of the Silent Shadow into question. The Order was one of the most loyal to the Covenant religion, led by the most devout of zealots, but the very core of the division had been torn apart. All they had left was their extreme combat prowess and ruthless faith in their abilities to make heretics regret their actions. Since the political landscape had just shifted to some Silent Shadow squads, so had those that they deemed heretics. One squad in particular, led by First Blade Racer Azavale, now had their crimson blades pointed in the direction of the Brutes, and they focused their attention on ruthlessly slaying as many as they could find. The squad travelled to Covenant-held moons, ships, and outposts all over the galaxy to cleanse them of brutes, and were ultimately the ones to finish off what remained of Tartarus, the ex-chieftain of the Brute's crew, on board his cruiser, the Rapid Conversion, that was passed down the chieftain's bloodline. However, for the first time since they were formed, Racer's squad would meet their match on board a corvette, the Elegy's Lament. Their intel indicated that it was just another Brute-controlled ship, and it seemed like that at first. They boarded the corvette quietly, using active camouflage, and started dispatching the Brutes on board. Everything seemed normal, until they got to the bridge, where a Brute warlord detected them. A warlord that seemed to have far more importance about him than any they'd quelled before. This warlord was Atriox, the leader of the Banished. Atriox told the squad that he and his brutes were different to those who betrayed the elites, which was truthful to be fair, and he offered the Silent Shadows squad a place in the Banished where they could fight under their own free will, not beholden to any high prophet or religious leader. Of the squad, Racer was the only elite who refused Atriox's offer, stating that the Banished too deserved death for their sins. After failing to convince their leader, the rest of the squad silenced Azurane with their blades, as he moved to attack Atriox. Atriox saw this newfound loyalty, and although it was technically born out of betrayal, he still went through with his offer. The last piece of intel gathered confirms that at least one Silent Shadow squad are now serving with the Banished, but in keeping with the core of this order of assassins, their operations remain a mystery. So that's all that we know about Silent Shadow. Now, given that they were an order of incredibly high-ranking Spec Ops assassins, even Oni know very, very little about them, but what we do know does draw some very interesting parallels to Oni's Headhunter division of Spartan 3s. They're lethal warriors that demonstrate the peak of their abilities, who carry out their assassinations and extractions in the most covert, stealthy manner possible. I want to give a big thank you to Ardent, Tomahawk, Taylor, Evan, Momo, Shikata, Foxy, Mjolnir, Matthew, Pierre, Manu, Toni, Jack Madden, Eric Brown, Sam Grafton, Regan Sink, and Bruin98 for the massive generous support over on Patreon. Thanks a lot for watching, guys. I really appreciate all the support on the last video. Hopefully this video lived up to its standards. And I'll catch you in the next one.